Well, welcome to Triple F today. We're going to get into some interesting videos about what actually happens in a hearing at the legislature, because if you've never been, now that won't be an excuse. So let's watch. Hey, Eva.
Jim, it's been so long because the last time we did a show,
You got sick.
Well, no, we did the Zoom one and I didn't know how to turn my video on. So it was you talking to me, talking to my picture. So it was quite fun.
I didn't watch that. I didn't.
You know what? People, you got to watch that video if you haven't. So
Okay.
what are we doing today?
Well, so, Eva and I lobby at the legislature on your behalf on our issues. And she had the great idea, hey, let's do a show where we take some of the clips of people testifying and sort of use it as an educational tool to show you what not to do, what's good, what's funny, what's whatever, what's sweet, what's nice. These are real people that went to the legislature on abortion bills this past week. And why don't you take it away since you got them lined up?
Well, I will say that there have been numerous abortion bills that have been introduced over the past week, all of them bad. There is one bill that's not an abortion bill that we actually testified in support of, and that actually would help pregnant women. But all the bills that we're going to be looking at today are in reference to abortion. And you and I were talking about how people just really need to hear what some of the people from the abortion lobby actually say. Because you and I sat there and we listened to it. We thought, people don't go down to the Capitol, right? Not many people watch the YouTube videos. So we're not going to edit any of these videos. These are 100% from beginning to end, the testimony of these people. It is public testimony, which is done by the Capitol. So all we're going to do is talk about those.
So you remember Bullwinkle, the cartoon?
Yes, I do.
And they always had a title and then a subtitle?
Yes.
So the subtitle for this is watch young people be lobbyists, because they say things because they haven't been around. And it's like, can you believe they said that?
Well, we're going to start with OBGYNs because OBGYNs are the ones doing abortions mostly. I mean, they did pass the law so that advanced practice registered nurses can do it as well. But right now, we're going to hear the testimony of two specific OBGYNs. So
if you're watching on TV and you can type in before we say what was interesting about the person's testimony. Type in what you think was interesting, and we'll see how it matches up.
And if you like this format that we're doing today, make sure you like the video. Okay, so let's go ahead and listen to this first testimony.
Comments. We have Shandini Raidu, an individual in support. Okay, please proceed into the mic.
Good afternoon, Senators. Thank you for the opportunity to provide testimony today. My name is Shandini Raidu, and I'm a board-certified obstetrician gynecologist, and I provide medical and procedural abortion care here in Hawaii and medical abortion care via telehealth to folks in Guam. I came to Hawaii almost 8 years ago, largely because of our rich history of supporting reproductive rights, and because I came from states where I had lived and worked where abortion care is extremely restrictive. In the time that I've been here, I've encountered numerous people, and in increasing numbers since the Supreme Court's decision last summer overturning Roe v. Wade, who have come to our state and found themselves in need of abortion care. Sometimes there are people who didn't know they were pregnant before they came here, but oftentimes there are people with highly wanted pregnancies who then find themselves facing unexpected complications. I have been able to provide them with safe, evidence-based abortion care because of the support of our community and the support of lawmakers like yourselves. When we provide abortion care, we bear witness to enormous grief, anxiety, and fear that largely come from living in a country where abortion care is highly politicized, care that is safe and a common form of medical care. But I also get to bear witness to enormous gratitude and hope. The people who receive abortion care here in our community know how fortunate they are to be in a place where we have a state that supports them. And many of them who are from other places know that they would not be able to receive that same care wherever they have come from. Unfortunately, lawmakers in other states who oppose abortion have demonstrated that they would like to pursue legal action against those of us who provide abortion care to folks from other states when they are here in Hawaii. That doesn't only affect me and my colleagues who provide direct abortion care, but also staff and providers in clinics and hospitals who might meet people in the course of their time here in Hawaii. I don't ever want to have to think about someone's zip code or the potential legal repercussions for myself and my colleagues when I'm thinking about whether I can give them urgent and medically necessary abortion care. And I urge you to please support SB1 with the amendments as proposed by Hawaii ACOG and help to protect our abortion provider workforce.
Okay, thank you very much.
I have to say that one of the first things that struck me was how many OBGYNs turned up to support this bill. I mean, I was surprised because they were proudly wearing their coats. In fact, when we got to the Capitol, we saw a whole bunch of them, and Jim in his vigor.
I own the world.
Yeah,
I don't care.
Yeah, Jim walked over there and goes, "Hey, who are you? What you doing here?" So, I mean, there were several bills, so they kind of dispersed them to do several bills, but there were a number of women OBGYNs who went in. But I think what surprised me about her testimony specifically, and it was a comment that you made, was this whole bill is about protecting the abortionists. You know, it should be about protecting the patient, right? But this was just about making sure that they don't get in trouble. And she made that very clear, right? And the other comment she made that surprised me, she said, you know, for the people who come to Hawaii and they don't know they're pregnant, and then they get here and they absolutely have to.
That happens all the time. Planes are full. They got a special airline just for that.
Well, I
think you're pregnant? Fly with us.
I was surprised, and her, you know, you can say that you understand that what she's saying is that these people are probably coming from a red state that, you know, made strong restrictions on abortion. So they come here and they found out, and we're going to hear a testimony from another doctor who also talks about this. What were your thoughts?
So the thing that jumped out at me is the denial that she exhibited, and it's probably because she couldn't do her job if she accepted the true thing that she was denying, and that is when she said that the grief that I see these abortion patients have, where did she say it comes from? The rest of society looking down on abortion care. It's not. It's grief because of what the woman is choosing to do in her body. I mean, if you just think about it, if people, and I might be different, so I'm going to tell you how I would react, but maybe other people wouldn't. If somebody told me, Jim, you know, it's really bad for you to go to church because church is blah, 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 blah. And if I felt grief about it, it wouldn't be because they said so. It would be because I believed it. That's what I'm trying to say. The grief comes from inside. It's not external. But she couldn't possibly admit these women are suffering grief from her medical care and continue to give them medical care that causes them grief. So she has to lie to herself about it. That's what jumped out at me.
No, and I was thinking, I don't have the clip, but there was also a young gentleman who testified in opposition to the bill, who we know him. He shows up all the time to pray outside of Planned Parenthood.
Yes.
And he said he sees these women coming out and they're hysterical, they're crying.
He says that he sees them,
the
tears that they're crying.
So, you know.
And he said they're not, what he said is, I go to Planned Parenthood regularly. I see the women coming out crying. I don't think they're crying tears of joy.
Right. And I think that's the thing.
That was powerful.
You know, I mean, we've got to be honest that there probably are women that do have an abortion and they are relieved and maybe they are happy. But we're trying to say that there's another side to this discussion, and we didn't feel it at the Capitol. We felt like, just like she did, how she said that Hawaii is so accepting of abortion and abortion care and all of that. And there are more people that are opposed to abortion that I don't think they know of, because I think people don't always say what they feel because they don't want to be outcast. So let's hear from another doctor.
Well, before we do, there's one other thought, and that is the woman would feel grief about choosing to get an abortion, probably because she knows in her heart she's killing her baby. That's something to grieve. It's not a medical procedure that this OBGYN thinks it is. It's not. For the woman's body, it's got to be different.
Yep. Dr. Bliss Kaneshiro is actually an OBGYN that testifies a lot at the Capitol on behalf of Planned Parenthood. She's one of the doctors. So
She's the blonde one on Zoom?
No. That's the Planned Parenthood testimony. Anyway, let's hear from Dr. Kaneshiro.
Into the mic, thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity to testify in support. I'm Bliss Kaneshiro. I'm a board-certified OBGYN. I was born and raised here in Hawaii and have been practicing here for the last 16 years. I'm a general OBGYN, so I provide full-scope obstetrics and gynecology care, including abortion care. I also have a medical license in Guam, and so through telemedicine, I'm able to provide abortion services to people living in Guam. Simply stated, abortion access is essential to the well-being of Hawaii's families. I speak in support of SB 1 and SB 896, and I think the language in 896 is more comprehensive. Given the Supreme Court's decision in Dobbs, provider protections are critically needed. Every month, I see patients who are from other states who receive abortion care here in Hawaii. Just last month, I saw a patient who was here visiting family. She was a college student and was attending a family reunion when she found out she was pregnant and needed to have an abortion. She cried in my office thinking about what she would have done if she had found out she was pregnant just a week later, because she didn't have the resources to travel. Lawmakers in conservative states have promised to introduce bills so that anyone who assists a patient from a state like Texas in getting an abortion can be subject to criminal prosecution and civil lawsuits. Just the threat of a lawsuit will make some providers hesitate to provide abortion care to patients from other states. Access is already tenuous, even in a place like Hawaii. I urge you to pass SB 1 or SB 896 to include more comprehensive language.
Okay, thank you very much.
You know, what strikes me again is to hear that they're doing all these abortions for women that are coming to Hawaii, and then in that same conversation they say, you know, these poor women, you know, they're if they go back to their states, they can't do it, they don't have the money. And I'm thinking, did they just not fly all the way to Hawaii? And the last time I checked, that's kind of an expensive thing to do, you know. So and wouldn't it be cheaper to drive to this next state than to get on an airplane and fly to the state of Hawaii? Or am I just thinking way outside the box?
Well, what they didn't say is, because the girl's mother is in Honolulu, the girl would like to be by her mom after her abortion for comfort and care, maybe?
But when
because if she just drove to Indiana, her mom's in Honolulu. What good does that do?
Oh, you're saying that the family is here.
Correct.
Okay. Well, let's just say that doctors are doing it, and they proudly come down to the Capitol and they proudly say they're doing it. So I figure if they're proud to do abortions, let's tell people who they are, and maybe people should start considering who is doing their OBGYN care.
Well, yes. And the thing that occurred to me is she said abortion care is necessary for the health of families. And the thought occurred to me, I wonder how she defines family. Is a single woman that gets an abortion a family all by herself because that abortion care took care of her? Or is a family a couple that already has one kid, so they're a family and they can't afford two, and so she'll take care of that economic problem through abortion? Is that for a family? Because a husband and a wife, or a boyfriend and a girlfriend, or however you want to describe no kids around, is a couple. It's not a family.
Well, okay, that's interesting thought. I went to, normally you think more black and white than I do, but this time I thought more black and white than you, because I thought, okay, the bill is going to allow physician assistants to do abortions. And you have all these OBGYNs coming out, and we didn't show it on these two clips, but several of them started their testimony by saying the years of training they have to be an OBGYN doctor. And I thought to myself, why did not one of those legislators ask, what is the difference in training between a PA and an OBGYN? Because I would guarantee that if you're an MD, you have way more training and experience.
Of course you do.
Than anybody else. So, and even if they say they can do these procedures, I know, this is like true. I have had people say to me, oh, I called to get an appointment with my doctor, and he's on vacation, but the PA was there and they told me I could see the PA, and I said, that's okay. I'll just wait for my doctor to come back. And these are just on regular general practitioner kinds of questions. So, a young girl going in to get an abortion is not going to ask the question, are you an OBGYN? Are you a PA? What's the difference? They're just going to get the procedure. And all I want is for people to ask the question, how safe is it really?
Well, and there's not a monolithic answer, because a medical procedure safety is dependent on the experience at the time. It depends on the patient. It depends on the physician. It depends on the electricity being on in the room. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts. So it's not like how safe is abortion. It's like, who do you want in the room when it goes bad?
Okay. Well, let's change gears a little bit, and let's listen to one of the testimonies from someone who likes to show up at the Capitol, and they just love to not take the opportunity to talk too much about the bill, but to attack everybody else who's opposing the bill. So let's listen to
Brother Michael.
Yes.
Good afternoon again, Senator. Thank you for the opportunity to testify in strong support. The caucus wants to go on record that we are in strong support of this measure, and any measure that provides access to the people that are pregnant or those that decide to choose choice. We do also want to go on record making sure that we're very surprised that all those that are against this bill and the previous bill say that they support people and support children where they have been absent. They were absent during the fight for a living wage. They were absent during the hearings this session advocating for homeless children. So when they say they care about kids and they care about those that are pregnant, the proof is not there. They don't show up for anything but these anti-choice measures to try to stop choice. So we ask that you pass this measure. We stand in strong support, as well as any measure or any amendments that asked by Dr. Soon or Planned Parenthood. Mahalo for your time, and we look forward to you moving this measure forward. Aloha.
So you can tell from Michael's lay that he's a strong advocate for the alphabet soup of LGBTQ, LMNOP, whatever it is today. And he testifies all the time about all kinds of things. And you'll notice he didn't talk about the bill, because what he likes to do is set up a straw man of people in opposition to whatever the bill is, whether it's abortion, transgender education, whatever it is. He shows up, sets up a straw man, and then he knocks it down, and they let him get away with that. So what I want to do is scour the rules of the Senate and the House for testimony. And if he's actually violating it, because it's like in Congress, you can't say mean things about people.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I don't know whether in legislative hearings, when the citizens are speaking, they have dignity aspects of the rules, but I'm going to look.
Okay, well, while you're looking at this, I'm going to shock you with what I'm about to say. I happen to agree with him.
I don't.
Oh, and here's why I agree with him. He said these people that are opposed to this bill aren't showing up to do all these other bills. And if he's talking about groups like Hawaii Family Forum, well, he's right. We aren't going to show up at all these other bills. Why? Because there's huge Catholic Christian organizations that are out there testifying on all of those bills. Catholic Charities is out there doing it. First Assembly of God on Red Hill, they may not be testifying, but they're doing the work because that's what churches do. Churches were not set up to testify at the state capitol, Jim Hochberg. Churches were set up to go into the community and actually do the ministry.
That's why I disagree with him.
So while he's saying that we're just here to say no, we're not the ones setting up these things so that we have to show up at the capitol and say no, because we're out there doing the ministry. We're doing the work.
And that's why I disagree with him. Not that I'm thinking we show up to testify. It's so hard for you and me to get people to testify on the very narrow range of issues that we work on. The point is, he shows up all the time because he likes camera time. Most of the people that show up are getting the money from whatever the bill's paying for.
Well, and I'm going to be honest, because I don't want people to ever watch this show and go, oh, they just, no, the truth of the matter is there were about 5 or 6 of us testifying in person in opposition to the bill. The majority
but it's because
of
it was
people,
a bad bill.
Well, and the majority of people that were there were in support.
Correct.
So I would love to be at the Capitol always testifying in support of stuff that when I show up, they're like, oh, we just love you because you've done that. But again, Hawaii Family Forum was set up to be a voice for the Christian community because the Christian community is out there doing ministry. They aren't, when they have to show up at the Capitol, Jim, to do testimony, they absolutely despise it because that's not what they were set up to do. We're going to fight for what we believe in because we're Christians and that's what God calls us to do.
So the McDaniels that were on this show that do the foster care ministry.
Yes.
He doesn't know what he's talking about.
That's what I mean. We could do a whole show on the amount of ministry that people are doing in the community, from everything from domestic violence to drug abuse,
Feeding the homeless. All that stuff.
prison ministry.
Yep.
The church is busy doing the work, Michael. So just in case you didn't know that, they're out there doing these great things.
And Michael, if you're watching, comment.
Okay, so let's go ahead and listen to the testimony now of the dad.
In support, Bede Spam, in support, Will Caron, in support, Lynn.
Hello, my name is Marcel Williams. Can you all hear me?
Okay, thank you. Please proceed.
Okay, thank you for the time. I am testifying in support of this bill. In 2021, my partner and I had an abortion. Right-wing political ideologues like to push this false and damaging narrative.
Excuse me, sorry. Do you have a light on you? Can we pause the timer? Do you have a light on you?
Yes, please. I'm sorry. Sorry, I'm testifying in my special ed classroom. Anyways.
Okay, so yeah, start the timer again. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Anyways, right-wing, some ideologues on the right side like to push this narrative that those who seek abortions and the Democrats who support them believe this decision is one that they enjoy and celebrate, and I'm here to share a quick story. I believe that that's not true. I'd prefer to have 20-foot waves crashing down on my head all day. If you've seen the Eddie, I'd prefer that than having to go through what I've gone through. Getting an abortion requires so many serious, stressful, and hasty discussions, debates, and decisions, and inevitably comes with a tremendous sense of loss. It was a deeply painful experience for my partner and I, hardly a cause for celebration. We should all have the right to bodily autonomy, so I supported her in whatever decision she made, as any man should. But that decision is just the first step in a painful journey. I frantically looked for a place that offered abortions on the Big Island, where I'm from, in South Kona, and after days of research, the only places I could connect with were crisis pregnancy centers who continued to push us to keep the child, without even asking my partner or myself what we wanted, nor would they direct me to anyone who could perform an abortion. The Planned Parenthood clinics in Kona and Hilo were closed due to bomb threats. The healthcare providers were bullied and intimidated with death threats. One doctor I found said had performed the procedure for over 20 years. When I called her office, she told me she had stopped for fear of retaliation. I finally found a doctor all the way in Hilo, but of course, when we got to her office, shouting at us from outside of the office was an old Holly man, the classic ones, waving disturbing and graphic signs to guilt trip and emotionally manipulate us. To the people who claim to be pro-life, I believe that you are disregarding the life of the mother and not just her mortal coil, but they ignore the fact that the mother's path in life must adjust to fit the life of the child. Pro-life groups tend to inflate the life of the fetus as greater than the mother's, whose life must be dedicated to developing grow said fetus. It's the mother's. Women create life, and is it too much to allow them the time, place, and autonomy to decide on how and when to do that? Thank you for the time to testify.
Thank you very much.
I definitely do not want to speak against his story because I can't verify it one way or another. So I'm not going to question anything that he said happened.
I will, but go ahead.
But okay, you do it. But what I do want to say is that in his entire testimony, he actually said that they wouldn't tell them how to get to Planned Parenthood to abort the child. He said the word child. And I thought after all of that and about how he's going to support his partner because that's what men do and all of this, I was thinking, but not once did he acknowledge that he killed his son or his daughter. I mean, I don't care how, you can't paint this any other way than the fact that he helped his girlfriend kill his child. And he said child, so I'm not putting that word, he used the word himself. And, you know, he said he'd rather be surfing and all of that kind of stuff. And I'm sure it was a hard decision for him and his girlfriend to make. I'm sure it was. But
So I have 2 points.
go ahead and make your point.
First, he's expressing the grief that the doctor said is caused by us. It's not caused by us. It's because she's going through something that causes grief. Number 2, assuming everything he said was true. I never heard of any bomb threats in Kona. But anyway, it's kind of not how we do it here. But assuming that's all true, did you notice that nothing in his testimony addressed the bill at all? This bill would not have changed one thing in his story.
Well, it would, because
No.
yes, his story was about access. So he talked about how he couldn't find a doctor. If they allow physician assistants to do that, then there's going to be more people available. So yes, that would have changed that. But the bottom line is it would not have changed the fact that his son or his daughter no longer exists today because of that. And my
Correct.
heart goes out to him, because it cannot have been an easy
So
thing
we got
to
to
do.
run.
No, we're going to do, and then we're going to end, and then we're going to continue. So those of you that are listening on the radio that you want to hear more of this, then you're going to have to go to YouTube and watch the rest of it. But so we're going to continue. We'll do, let's do this since we only have a couple minutes left. The bill we're talking about would, again, allow physician assistants to also perform abortions here in Hawaii. But there's been other bills. And we're going to be discussing, for those that decide to go to YouTube to watch the longer part of this interview, they're going to actually hear another bill that wants to enshrine abortion into the state's constitution. And we want people to go, oh my God, I got to hear that. So if you guys are driving and you're listening to this, I'm telling you, you have to go to YouTube, check out Hawaii Family Forum, and find the part 2, because it's going to be huge, because we're going to continue. There's more of these we want to discuss. So any thoughts you have?
You are a magnificent saleswoman.
I was going to say, but so give a thought in the last minute or so for those that are listening.
What we want you to take away from this and the second half is going to the legislature to tell them what you think about a bill after you've received from Eva the email with what you need to know is painless. It was painless for all these people. Some of them, like a couple of them, were on Zoom. Some of us were in the actual room. It's painless. Please join us. That's what I would say.
Okay. And in this last minute, I want to end this with a testimony from one of the people who testified in opposition to the bill, who actually does counseling. So let's end with Shorba.
Okay, good afternoon, senators and committee members. My name is Lisa Shorba, and I stand in strong opposition to this measure, SB1. A lot of times it seems this is such a wonderful thing until you see the flip side, until you see and hear the stories of those who've gone through an abortion procedure. And I guess I'm very fortunate to be such a person. I work as a counselor, and I hear the stories, and I hear the trauma that's associated with an abortion. And so I feel very sad that here in Hawaii, I'm part Hawaiian, and we love family. Family is very important, and children are in the womb are just as much a part of family as any other member of our family. So I just stand here to support the unborn, the ladies and the men who go through that very difficult decision of having to terminate a child that perhaps they might have wanted. Perhaps if they had the support, I think it might be better if we look for real options, real choices, support services for women during the pregnancy, help them through that journey. It's not shameful to have a baby, to be pregnant. Why is it? Why is it such a shameful thing for women these days? But anyway, I just want to let you all know that I don't agree with this bill. I think there are many ways that we could approach assisting women in an unplanned pregnancy situation. I also volunteer in a pregnancy center, and we do listen to what women want. And they do tell us, well, if I have this, I might be able to have this baby, but I don't. Well, let's fill that need. If we could help get that, what that person might need. You need baby things, you need food, what do you need? Let's provide that for them, okay? Because life is very sacred. And let's do it as pono. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Make sure you like, subscribe, share this video. And for those of you that want to continue the conversation, we'll see you.
Part 2.
Part 2.